Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Vajrana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajrana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Vajrana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajrana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Jamuna Tiyara Banachari Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Vihari Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Vajrana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajrana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Yamuna Tiyara Banachari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You have the sheets? Okay. So this is chapter 21, and it's Canto 4, verse 44. We're all for that, aren't we? Canto 4, verse 44, we're all for it. Okay. Want to take one over to them? Toot sweet? Okay, ready? Gunayanam Shila Danam Krita Yam Vridashrayam Samvranate Nu Sampada Prasidatam Brahmakulam Gavam Cha Janardana Sanucharas Cha Mayam Gunamayam Shiladanam Kritagyam Vridashayam Samvrinates Nu Sampadaha Prasidatatam Brahmakulam Gavam Cha Janardanas Sanucharas Chamayam Gunayanam Shiladanam Kritagyam. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Vridashayam Samvrinate Nu Sampada Prasidatam Brahmakulam Gavam Cha Janardanas sanucharas chamayam. Gunayanam siladanam krita gyanam. Vridashrayam sam vranate nusampada. Prasidatam brahmakulam gavam cha. Janardanaha sanucharas chamayam. Gunayanam shiladanam krita gyanam. Vridashrayam sam vrinate nusampada. Prasidatam brahmakulam gavam cha. Janardana sanucharas chamayam. You want to repeat? It's Canto 4, verse 44. That's why we're all for it. Gunayanam shiladanam kritagyanam. Sayam samrite anusampada. Janardanas anucharas chamayam. Yam shiladanam gitagyanam. Guna ayam, one who has acquired all good qualities. Shila danam, one whose wealth is good behavior. Krita gyanam, one who is grateful. Vrida ashrayam, one who takes shelter of the learned. Samvranate, achieves. Anu, certainly. Sampadaya, all opulences. Prasidatam, be pleased upon. Brahmakulam, the Brahmana class. Gavam, the cows. Cha, and. Janardana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sa, with. Anuchara, along with his devotee. Cha, and. Mayam, unto me. Translation: whoever acquires the Brahminical qualifications, whose only wealth is good behavior, who is grateful, and who takes shelter of experienced persons, gets all the opulence of the world. I therefore wish that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his associates be pleased with the Brahmin class and the cows and with me. We'll read this again. This is Maharaj Prithu speaking. Whoever acquires the Brahminical qualifications, repeat, whose only wealth is good behavior, who is grateful, and who takes shelter of experienced persons, gets all the opulence of the world. I therefore wish that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his associates be pleased with the Brahmana class, with the cows, and with me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped with the prayer, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha. This is clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead respects and protects Brahmanas and Brahminical culture, as well as the cows. In other words, wherever there are Brahmins and Brahminical culture, there are cows and cow protection. In a society or civilization in which there are no Brahmanas or Brahminical culture, cows are treated as ordinary animals and slaughtered at the sacrifice of human civilization. The specific mention of the word Gavam by Prithu Maharaj is significant because the Lord is always associated with cows and his devotees. In pictures, Lord Krishna is always seen with cows and his associates, such as the cowherd boys and the gopis. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be alone. Therefore, Maharaj Prithu said, Sanucharas Cha, indicating that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always associated with his followers and devotees. A devotee acquires all the good qualities of the demigods. He is Guna Yanam, the reservoir of all good qualities. His only asset is good behavior, and he is grateful. Gratitude for the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one of the qualities of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Everyone should feel grateful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is maintaining all living entities and supplying all their necessities. As stated in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yavidanti Kaman, the Supreme Lord is supplying all necessities to the living entities. The living entity who is therefore grateful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly qualified with good characteristics. The word Vridashrayam is very significant in this verse. Vrida refers to one who is advanced in knowledge. There are two kinds of old men: he who is advanced in years and he who is experienced in knowledge. One who is advanced in knowledge is actually Vrida, Jnana Vrida. One does not become Vrida simply by advancing in age. Vrida Shayam, or a person who takes shelter of a superior person who is advanced in knowledge, can acquire all the good qualities of a Brahmana and be trained in good behavior. When one actually attains good qualities, becomes grateful for the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and takes shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, he is endowed with all opulence. Such a person is a Brahmana or Vaishnava. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj invokes the blessings and mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with his associates, devotees, Vaishnavas, Brahmanas, and cows. I'll read that verse again. Whoever acquires the Brahminical qualifications, whose only wealth is good behavior, who is grateful, and who takes shelter of experienced persons, gets all the opulence of the world. I therefore wish that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his associates be pleased with the Brahmana class, with the cows, and with me. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutali Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivasesha Shunyavati Paschachita Satarni. So his only wealth is good behavior. So there's a magazine called Forbes, and it talks about the wealthiest people in this literature. Does this mean the people with the best behavior? Does it? No? That isn't what it's about. But it says here the only wealth is the good behavior. So if they have wealth, that means they have good behavior. Prabhupada says you can put a dog on the king's throne, but if you throw a shoe, he'll still chase it. So they say sometimes money makes people bad. Not really, it just brings out what's already there. And they say money is the root of all evil, but they also say lack of money is the root of all evil. But probably the lack of Krishna and the lack of good qualities is all evil. So wouldn't it be nice if we have a literature that talked about this kind of wealth? Would that be nice? Who says it would be nice? Do we have such a literature? What's it called? This one? The one person went to visit Krishna, Sudama, and Krishna put him on the seat and he gave him a foot bath. What's there? What's there? Oh, yes. Okay. And he wanted whatever prasadam that Sudama had brought from him. Was this because he was worth a lot of money? Krishna wouldn't be interested in someone who didn't have money, would he? Was he interested in the good character? Brahma has a lot, but when Brahma came to offer his prayers to Krishna, Brahma probably has a lot of wealth and a lot of intelligence. They say 4 heads is better than 1, right? So when Krishna's listening to prayers of Brahma, he's going, yeah, that's nice, but I want to go back to playing with my friends now. He wasn't so concerned with it. He was concerned with the devotion and the good qualities. We look at some of the other people in the Srimad Bhagavatam. How about Bali Maharaj? He had it going on, didn't he? He had the spaceships and he was taking over the Indraloka planet, the most opulent planet in the universe. And then this little Brahmin boy comes along and says, he says, what do you want? He says, well, I'd like a little charity. He says, what do you want? It's just 3 steps of land. What are you going to do, small boy, with 3 steps of land? As of course, his guru, Sukacharya, said, don't give it to him, he'll take everything. So he said, but you told me I should surrender to Vishnu. So he said, all right, take the 3 steps. And the first step, he covered the material universe. And with the second step, he pierced it, and the Ganges River came through from the causal ocean. We don't know how far we have to steps. I read that because the universes come like foam, they're not all touching the causal ocean. It's like the foam comes out of the water and there's different bubbles. Some of them are touching other bubbles that are touching the water, and some are directly touching it. So not all of them are touching it. So who knows how far he had to go. But he was a little Brahmin boy. How could he stretch that far? Must be inconceivable, right? He extended it a little longer. Just like Krishna made the rope that Mother Yasoda was tying with him. It was always 2 inches short. Until he says, all right, Mother, you can't tie me up unless I want you to. We read about so many others. So was Bali Maharaj famous because he had all the opulence, or because he was willing to give it up? Which one is it? Just because people are rich doesn't mean they're not a miser. Some of them pinch the last pennies and won't spend any money no matter what. They're afraid they're going to run out. There was in the 60s, which money was worth a lot more then. And the dollar is worth 20 times the rand. So this woman died of malnutrition. And they went to her house, they found 2 keys. The first one had $450,000 in it, which is what, almost 10 million rand? The second one had $650,000 in it, which is about 1.3 million rand. But she starved because she figured she couldn't go below 22 million rand. Right? You have to keep 22 million in cash, and if it gets to the end of that, you'd rather starve than start liquidating some of that, correct? Because you need the money to stay alive. She actually starved because somehow she didn't want to get into that money. So is this kind of person famous? It says here, based on good character. And this is not always what's there. The news talks about famous people. Famous people, politicians, musicians, people with lots of money. And do they necessarily have good behavior? They don't necessarily give that, right? I remember there was one song in the 60s where the person sang, "The best things in life are free. Those kind of things I don't need. Give me money, that's what I want." So people are telling you that you need to get money because you need to buy the other things. You don't need to get what comes on its own. It's like some people don't realize that the simple qualities like worshiping Krishna, and if you really want to spend time at the ocean, you go down to the ocean and you have a Harinama and you jump in and swim. But some people think, no, to really enjoy it, I have to get a big boat. So they buy this big boat, and then they have to take it out, put the sails up, put it back in the dock, clean it up. So they say that someone who gets a boat, there's two very happy days. The day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat. Because the idea of how much they're going to enjoy isn't how much they're really going to enjoy. They would do more simple. Just like Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was talking about first time he went to the temple. He says, I'm a guest and they're asking me to clean the bathrooms. Now, which person is a better person? Someone who says, yes, I'll clean the bathrooms and help out Krishna, or someone that says, I'm too good for that? It's funny, they had this one person, Bhakta Al, would come to the temple in Detroit, and he would help them clean up, and they treated him really nice. And Badrine Ryan, my friend from high school, no, it wasn't Detroit, it was Ann Arbor, one of the two. And they needed like storm windows because in the winter the snow comes. You don't get that here. Some places they need it for cyclones, and some places they need it for snow. And one day, all of a sudden, the storm windows showed up. And Badrine said, what are you doing with these? We can't pay for these. He says, oh, but they're already paid for. They're being delivered by who? And it said from Alfred Ford. He says, oh, that must be Bhakta Al. He didn't tell who he was, and he had paid for the storm windows and they were being delivered. So he was trying to be good quality, and he appreciated the people who had good quality rather than the people that just want to show how much money they have and show how great of a time it is that they have to get the best car and the youngest wife. It's funny, my stepfather said this one man had a house right by the ocean, and he was joking. There was a young girl there, and my stepfather says, how would you like to have an affair with an older man? She says, I already am, because she was having an affair with someone twice her age. And then they have the names for these. The women that do that are gold diggers, right? Because do these women say to the older man, if you have the time, I have the money? Or do they say, if you have the money, we have the time? They say, if you have the money, we have the time. And this woman may be very beautiful. And the man may be very rich. My daughter had a baby young. So when my granddaughter got to high school, I thought, I'm going to look funny going with a younger woman. They'll think, what are you doing with this younger woman? But there was guys older than me with wives younger than my daughter, so no one thought twice about it. So these people quite often have lots of money, and the school caters to them because maybe they can give some donations. The woman may be very beautiful, and the man may be very rich, but when they die, she only gets to take 40% of her beauty with her, and the man only gets to take 30% of his money? Is that it? Is it? Sometimes they're here, they don't get to enjoy it. The places in Emerald Bay, the private community right by the beach, now they're like 20 million and up. This one man, Mr. Pelletier, had he had invented the Purex bleach, but his office was right where they were filling up the trucks, so the bleach would come through his window. And so his brain turned into a vegetable. And he was living in a very nice house and being taken care of by servants, but he turned to a vegetable. It's just like if there's a multi-million-dollar house in Mshlanga, and a rich man wills it to a cauliflower. So the cauliflower is sitting there in the window, and it said, a note under it, I am a cauliflower who is the proprietor of this Mshlanga. Or someone else gives one to the dog. How much can they enjoy it? Maybe the cauliflower or the dog can sell it and use the money for something else. Is a cauliflower able to sign a contract? If someone's mind goes, if they're not of competent mind, they can't sign any contracts. So we're talking about somebody whose wealth is their good behavior. So we have to think of this. What is the good behavior? So how do we get good behavior? We speculated on it. It's like yesterday, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was talking about how the etiquette, the English etiquette is different. Like the forks have to be in just the right place. So if you put the forks and the spoons in just the right place, does that qualify you for good character? Or are we talking about form rather than the content? You take some of these mafia, the heads of big crime groups, and they dress really nicely. Tailor-made suit, the tie is matching, so they look really good. Does this mean they have good behavior? Does someone like this commit crimes? Actually, they don't. They have other people commit the crimes, which is actually a greater crime, because conspiracy to rob the bank is a bigger crime than actually robbing it because you planned it out. So by form, they look really good. But by the content of behavior, if that's what's important. When Sudama went to see Krishna, was he dressed very nicely? Did he have a tailor-made suit and the finest Italian shoes? Did he? Did he show up in a fancy Rolls Royce or a 6.9-liter Mercedes? You know, these other cars are 2, 3, 3.5 liters. That car goes fast. That car will cruise at like 250 kilometers an hour. Or one of the Maseratis that can go at like, what can it go at? About 300 kilometers an hour. Does that mean you have good behavior? Does it mean that they can drive nicely? There's one, Shaimasundar had this one person, Joe Walsh, was interested in Krishna consciousness, and he sang a song that he says, life's been good to me so far. He says, I can't complain, although sometimes I do. He says, my Maserati does, in miles, it was 185. He says, I got too many tickets, now I can't drive. So he may have a lot of money in a fancy car, but he can't drive it. It's like willing the car to the dog. So it's the good behavior that's important. So how do we get good behavior? Read the English etiquette book. Pleases and thank yous and the proper. I am so glad to see you today. Yes, it is wonderful. Please, and thank you for this. And oh yes, all the proper things. They say just the right thing. And they have it so well practiced. It's like the one person called my mother up and she says, "Oh, it's so good to talk to you. How are you doing?" She goes, "I'm doing well." She goes, "Wonderful." She says, "How's your father?" She said, "He passed away 3 years ago." She says, "Wonderful." So they have all the right response. But have they really used good character to listen to what's going on? You can have a response, but it should be the right response. So it's given here that it says, this is something we should think about. They're grateful and they take shelter of experienced persons. They get the opulence of the world. Grateful. Somebody's grateful for what they get. If it's warm, oh, I'm so grateful we have a nice sunny day. It's raining. I'm so grateful that we're getting rain for the crops and that we'll have water. They're grateful for whatever situation. Can we be grateful? Is there a prayer we can say that will make us grateful? And we surrender to Krishna and we get everything we want? Is there such a prayer? You want to know what it is? You say, "Krishna, I am so grateful that for whatever you give me. So my wish today is that whatever you want to happen, that is what I want to happen." Then we're automatically grateful, we're surrendered to Krishna, and we get our wish. Now, does that work better than fighting Krishna? A lot of people want to become Krishna's competitor. You want a list of people who've succeeded? It's written there on the palm of my hand. What does it say? You see any names there? No. Which person? Who wants to become Krishna's competitor and thinks they can become successful? Lots of people. Krishna was negotiating with the Kurus, and Duryodhana saying, I don't want to give up anything to the Pandavas. So Krishna shows his universal form. And he still says, I don't care if you're God, I still want. Well, if he shows he's God, don't you think it might be better to work with him instead of against him? Someone who has all that opulence and yet he does something pretty stupid? If someone that shows that they're God and you tell them you want something different than he wants, good luck with that, right? You may be an important person, but sorry about your luck, because if Krishna wants one thing and you want something else, what are you going to get? So being grateful helps us. Just like if somebody is having, Krishna says, one who is not envious but a kind friend to all living entities. If we're envious, we can't be a kind friend. And if we're not envious, we can. And if we're a friend, we can't be envious. So they don't go together. We can't be envious and a kind friend. So if we're not envious and a kind friend, and we're looking for good qualities. So the good qualities, is a good qualities judged by what someone does for themselves or what they do for others? Is Krishna more pleased that Gautam Adani is worth $60 billion, which comes to how many rand? About $1 billion too? Or the fact that he donated enough at the Kumbh Mela to give more than 100,000 plates of prasadam a day, and he went to help with the cooking. Which one of those gives him more good character? Prabhupada says all these things are zeros. What's more? 3 zeros, 6 zeros, 9 zeros, or 12 zeros? What's more? Which is more? You can multiply it by 0. Now what is it? What is it? It's still 0. What if you add 0 and then multiply it again? It's still 0. But what if you put a 1 in front of those 3 zeros? What is it? It's 1,000. We put the one Supreme Personality of Godhead in front of the qualities, they put more. If we put 1 in front of 6 zeros, is it? It's 1,000,000. If we put 1 in front of 9 zeros, what is it? It's 1,000,000,000. We put 1 in front of 12, it's 1,000,000,000,000. If you put 1 in front of 15, it's a quadrillion. Is that a lot, quadrillion? So if we put the one Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we develop the good qualities. And it says here we're grateful because what we want is an opportunity to serve. We're ungrateful when we don't get what we want. Some people, I remember once I was on a flight and I got upgraded to first class. And this one, I'm getting not this, they're not bringing it fast enough. I says, you never worked a day in your life, did you? He says, of course not. I just expect people to do things for me. But I'm never happy because they never do it fast enough or well enough. So if we're expecting to be served, sometimes it appears, just like if you look at some of the calculations, it appears that the planets go around the Earth, because in one sense they all go around each other. But ultimately they're going around the sun. So sometimes it appears that things are going our way, but it can change and they can't be. So good character is mentioned in the verses where we're dear to Krishna. We're not envious, but a kind friend to all living entities. We're not attached to heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy. We're not upset. We're not attached to the result of any activity. We're not attached to the ordinary course of activities. We do, if Krishna wants something different, we do that. So the whole basis is the difference of thinking that I'm going to serve Krishna and serve others, or I serve myself. So do we develop good qualities by just getting money for ourselves? Can we develop good qualities by getting money? We can, if the money is used in Krishna's service. That's why last Sunday when we were talking about, people giving donations, one thing that's good is when someone is thinking about a plan to make money, they think, why do they want money? They have to eat, transportation, house, clothing, children, and put aside some for donation, put aside some for investments to increase it. So when they're working, they're thinking, these are the things I'm doing, is that I'm taking care of my loved ones and I'm giving something to Krishna. So I'm not working just to think that I can become famous and accumulate more. I'm working so that I can create stability for myself and, more important, give something to Krishna, because Krishna is happy by that. Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. Offer me a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water with love and devotion, and I accept it. So the rich man goes and offers just a leaf. Is that enough? If you give something to Krishna here and have something behind your back, what's Krishna looking for? What are you keeping from me? Remember my riddle? Why is it completely different to check into a guest house or a hotel than surrendering to Krishna? Because the guest house or hotel, it's very important to have reservations. But surrendering to Krishna, it's important not to have reservations. We say, Krishna, I'll surrender to you. But I have a list of covenants and conditions and restrictions and reservations that apply. I won't serve you unless it's convenient. I won't serve you unless I get something big in return. I won't serve you unless I get good credits for it, and unless I can get lots of money in return for doing the service, and I'll do it on my own time, and I won't do very much of it. And when I'm not feeling like it, I won't do it. And sometimes I'd even like to get credit for things I didn't do. The person went to the deity of Balaji. He figures, you know what? I'm going to be 50% surrendered. So he prays to the deity of Balaji. My dear Lord Balaji, he says, I want to be surrendered to you. He said, so I'm going to play the R1,000,000 lottery. And when I win the R1,000,000, I'll give half to you. So he goes and he plays the lottery, hoping to win the R1,000,000. He wins R500,000. So he goes back to the deity of Lord Balaji. He says, "My dear Lord Balaji, I want to thank you so much for helping me win this lottery. But I only have one question to ask you. Why did you take your half out first?" Because this is what it means when we offer things to Krishna. We make a big meal, we eat it ourselves, we distribute to family members, we sell some, and what's ever left over we offer to Krishna. Is that it? The one girl in Bali, she wanted to date the Balinese guy. She said, "You're always offering your things to this god." She goes, "Here, I'll offer the last half of my beer." And she said he wasn't happy. I said, "Well, number one, they don't offer beer. Number two, you offer something before you take it, not what's ever left over. You don't say, 'Okay, Krishna, I'm eating a sandwich. I had half of it. You can have the other half.'" Is that our offering to Krishna? So we develop this good quality by emulating people who have the good qualities. That's why it says here to learn from learned persons. If I want to learn how to play a musical instrument, do I approach a plumber? If I want to learn a sport, do I approach someone who knows the sport well or someone who watches it on TV? So whatever you want to do, you approach someone who already knows this and you learn from them. And that's why it's important to have a spiritual master who follows in that line, and to be grateful for the cows and the brahmanas. You see, the cows are such good animals. People seem to adore the dog. They say that the dog is man's best friend, but actually the man is dog's best friend because it never grows up, and you always have to feed it and take it for a walk and clean up after it and do whatever. So they say the dog is loyal, but the dog will go away with someone else that has better food. If you're the owner and you're over here and someone else has food, you say, come here, Fido, and the other person has food, where will it go? Does it follow the food, or it follows the person it loves, quote unquote? It follows the food, right? It follows the food. So the cow, though, is very different. The cow gives of its milk. The cows make extra milk so humans can take it. Some people think that humans are the only ones that milk another species, but that's not true. If you ever see the ants taking little white things in the tree, they use the aphids for cows. They take them up in the tree and they milk the leaves in the day. They take them down at night and they milk them. And then they bring them back in the morning. So the aphids produce milk for ants. We use cows because with aphids, it takes a lot of aphids to get a liter of milk. How many aphids does it take? And the ant knows how to milk the aphid. The cow is big. You can't hurt the cow by milking it. But the aphid, you might squish it trying to milk it. Anybody here know how to milk an aphid? Would it be more convenient to milk a cow? Would it take a lot of aphids to get a liter of milk? It would. But it works for ants, and it proves that other species actually use cows. Their cows look different, but it's the same idea. So we should think of this. Our wealth is to develop good qualities. Am I being the best person I can? They find training people in this is good. Even people who are trying to recover from addictions, they try to train them to be better people, to admit if they made a mistake and make amends to people if they did something wrong, instead of always coming up with an excuse, right? Some people have excuses, it's always someone else's fault, instead of looking at their part and what they need to do. So we should always try to be the best person we can in Krishna's service. And we do that by following someone like Srila Prabhupada, who said, I won't come to America until you pay me a lot of money to come and send me a ticket on a first-class airplane. No, I don't think he said that, because he came on a cargo ship and he came with nothing. So we emulate the character of people who are willing to serve no matter what. And it indicated us to do things. That's why when I was alone in South Africa, it was not convenient to be in a country where the whites were shooting blacks. Sometimes the soldiers would go out and shoot 1,000 blacks. Didn't make you popular to be white amongst the blacks. I'm dressed in a dhoti and preaching Indian culture. Did not make me popular amongst the white government, which wanted to kill me. So it was not convenient to be here alone. But because I tried some little bit to emulate Prabhupada's idea of surrendering and bringing Krishna consciousness to people, that's what we want to do. We go the extra duty. We think of what more we can do for Krishna. Maybe we chant more rounds. Maybe we read more. Maybe we can distribute more books. Maybe we explain more about Krishna to people. Maybe we cook more. And we always surrender more. But we're looking to, how can I become a better person? Not accumulate so many things. And if we're trying to accumulate, we accumulate so we can use it in Krishna's service. Any questions, comments, corrections, and chastisements? And why was I all for this verse? Because it's the 4th canto, verse 44. So does that mean we won't be all for tomorrow's verse? That means it'll be 45, right? But it'll be all the way till Tuesday till we read it, right? That's all right, the knowledge will still be intact. Any questions or comments? All right, Hare Krishna.